What a crowd! Welcome! Oh, fantastic. Welcome to Life's a Pitch TV. I'm Mark Murphy. Wherever you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcast, you are most welcome. Brought to you in association with DPS Tech, our main sponsor. A massive thank you to our other sponsors as well for making the show happen. All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Venue 16, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford, and the Dove in Ipswich. We have a contingent in from the Dove tonight over in the corner there. Let me introduce you to the team. Of course, it's Ipswich and England skipper Terry Butcher. Former Ipswich and England midfielder, no, defender even.
I played like a midfielder, Mark, though, didn't I?
What's your name? Russell Osman! And it's only because I was distracted because there's no Phil Ham tonight, but we do have Paddington Bear ready to take on the mantle of Phil Ham's role tonight, who's not feeling very well, everybody. No, he's much worse than that. He's much worse than that. And Richard over there on technicals. Mark Calver, John Parker, Leslie Dolphin, all involved in the production. Good to see you, boys. Had a good week?
Yes, very good.
Excellent.
Very good.
Excellent.
Yes, yourself?
Very good, thank you.
Russell, you had a good week?
It's been pretty steady, pretty quiet.
Yep. Excellent.
Yep.
I'm still recovering from James Scowcroft, top of the leaderboard on the Keep It Up Challenge. Did you see it last week?
Yeah.
Top of the leaderboard.
With his right foot only.
Right foot only, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Right foot only. What would have happened if he'd kicked it with his left
Well,
foot?
it'd still be here.
Well, it wouldn't be 58, would it, or 59? No.
Separate competition, I think.
Yeah, but he did very well, didn't he?
Well, there is confusion. So Martin has been in touch. Martin's clearly got more time on his hands than I have. He's demanding a recount. He's watched it several times, and he reckons it wasn't 78, as we said last week, but 79.
Yeah.
79.
I think it was 79 too.
Really?
I agree with him, yeah.
Yeah. Richard on technicals is agreeing with that.
Yeah.
Excellent. There's the thumb up. It's like working with the Thing, isn't it, from the Adams family?
Yeah.
You can only see that from this side. Oh, no, it's even worse now. He stood up. Uncle Fester's here.
Wow.
That was a bit scary.
But we don't have VAR on this show. So, I don't know. Do we stick with 78 or do we go for 79, everybody? 79?
79.
79.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
We're
done.
still top of the leaderboard, so well done, Scoey. Lots to talk about as well with Ipswich Town at the moment, and particularly the match last weekend. So let's make sense of that and the season so far. This section of the show is sponsored by the Dove in Ipswich. There we go. We got there in the end. It's going to be one of those nights, I think, tonight, isn't it?
You can't beat modern technology.
No, you can't. No. And if we're
User friendly.
We're going for it anyway. Lots of lovely comments, actually. Hey, Mark and Co. Love watching Life's a Pitch TV on YouTube. Great show. Just wanted to say it was great seeing Russell and Terry in the Sir Ralph Ramsey stand upper on Saturday. This is from Mark Aldous. I bottled saying hello to Terry when stood next to me at half-time. Starstruck. So did you see someone strange standing next to you at half-time?
I did in the toilets. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was getting
What was she doing there?
Oh, I was getting some funny looks from the people with a person to my right as well.
It must have been Mark then.
Yeah, it must have been him, yeah. But I couldn't really talk because I had my hands full, so there we are.
Bragging again.
Boom, boom.
One of my claims to fame is having
Being in the toilet? Was that your claim to?
in a toilet, having a pee next to Jeff Hurst.
Oh, right.
That's one of my claims. Yeah, it's impressive, I thought, don't you? Yeah. I mean, what do you say to Jeff Hurst when you're standing next to him at the urinal? Do you still dribble like you did? I didn't say a word, but that's one of my claims to fame.
Did you say, I think it's all over? All over my shoes? No, I didn't say that.
It is now.
Yeah. Were you impressed with him as well?
I was very impressed. Yeah,
Okay.
I was very impressed, bless him. So what were you doing because you're normally up in the director's box, so why were you up in the Sir Ralph Ramsey stand, you two?
Go on. You explain.
Well, it was for Combat to Coffee, Nigel Seaman. It was he did it last year where it was like called Medals to Games, where a lot of the veterans would come and wear their medals. The club was very generous and gave the tickets as well. And last year there was 30. This year was over 100, well over 100. So we met in the Greyhound before, and because my son was a veteran, and obviously he's not here. I was there. Russell is his godfather, so he came along as well. And we met all the veterans in the Greyhound, and it was just spectacular. We didn't really want to go to the football game, but we wanted to stay in the Greyhound.
Part of the day,
but it was incredible to meet them. They all got stories, all want pictures and all those kind of things. It was great, wasn't it? Really enjoyed it.
Really good. Great atmosphere at the Greyhound. Had a couple of quick pints of bitter before we wandered down to Portman Road for another couple of quick pints of bitter before we
in the fan zone.
That was the fan zone. Yeah, big gathering there, and then it was actually nice to watch the game from the back of the Sir Alf Ramsey stand.
I think we were virtually right at the back,
right at the back,
top,
smack bang in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I've never been there before, so.
You know, and you really do get like a three-dimensional view of the game as it's going on.
It's a steep stand, isn't it, that one?
Very steep. You know, when you sit in the director's boxes, which we're very privileged to on a match day, you get like a two-dimensional view. But when you're up high and right at the back and behind the goal, you can actually see a lot more. You can gauge the distances between players a lot better. And it was a great experience the whole day. It was a really good experience.
Sorry, you couldn't see too much because the guys about 3 rows down in front of us, they'd obviously had a few beers as well on the Greyhound, so they just kept popping up, and we're saying, sit down, and you see the size of them. I didn't think we shouted too loud. It was like, well, you can do what you want, lads, it's no problem, but we couldn't see the game. But, you know, it was really good because, you know, when we had a lot of chances, didn't we? A lot of chances in the game. Should have scored more goals. And it was like, was it Hutchinson threw on goal, Hurst threw on goal, and we're expecting a goal, so we stood up and nothing happened, so we had to sit down again, apart from these guys who stood up all the time virtually. So it was great. It was good. It was lovely. Really good. You can see the tactics, you can see the back four and the midfield three and all that. You can see actually what's happening, and it's easier to watch the game than it is if you're at central, because you're having to move, you know, a big span, whereas when you're up there and behind them, you don't have to move your head at all, but you can see other things. One
of the chances that they had, Mike, sorry to interrupt you, was the corner that Chaplin just clipped over the crossbar.
The early one, yeah.
The early one, you know, and you think time and time again, they've got away with doing that set-piece corner, and they work it so well. Now, every team knows that they're going to try and do that, but they still manage to get the ball to Connor Chaplin in a bit of space, and just one of those, he just caught it too well, I think, and just got underneath it a fraction. But great movement again.
I mean, so many chances in that first half, weren't there? I mean, there were so many. We could have been 4 or 5
should have
ahead.
Been. Yeah, should have been.
But I have to say that we were 1-0 down afterwards 9 minutes from their first attack, and it's a common trend now. The last 5 games we've played, we've been 1-0 down. So, you know, but did anybody feel worried when we were 1-0 down? No, there's plenty of time to score and score again. But I just think the way that they're playing at the moment, we said this before, that they're just a joy to watch. And no matter how teams are prepared, they're always going to struggle because, you know, of the quality of the players that are playing the system that Kieran likes. And you know, I don't know teams. I mean, teams that do well against us are the teams that don't really play any sort of fluid football. They're rugged and they're tough and they're like one-on-one, and they ever say, well, you know, come on, I'm going to beat you up.
But are we going a goal down in games where we're dominating from the kickoff? Or are we going a goal down in games where we've been under pressure for the first 10, 15 minutes?
No, we're not. I think we actually come out of the traps pretty well.
Doing well.
Yeah, we actually come out very well. And in that second half, we always start the games, the periods, very well. Yet
we're conceding in that period.
We concede, and that for me is probably the biggest worry of Town actually gonna get in the top 2.
It's really hard to criticise at the moment, isn't it? Because
no, I don't find it hard at all. I quite enjoy it. Yeah.
We're kind of joint top of the league at the moment, and you know, we're doing incredibly well, far better than most people thought. But there is that question of the defence, isn't there, and the leaking of goals here. We've got quite a few central defensive players, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we spoke last week how Kieran's rotated them a little bit. Burgess has been in and then out, and Edmondson came in for a game, and then Axel came in as well, and Wolfie was left out and then comes back in again. And I just think it's a bit of a delicate position to do that. with. But, I do appreciate that Edmondson, Wolfie, Axel and Burgess, they all need game time because sooner or later they're going to be called upon during the season. So, I think Kieran's trying to keep them all involved as much as he can.
You've also got Elkan Baggott to throw into that mix. I mean, he's knocking on the door, isn't he? Must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back in Indonesia now, isn't he? Or something, playing another game. So he's got more people on his Twitter account or Facebook account than the whole of the team put together. I think the whole of the town put together as well. It's just amazing. But yeah, he's come on as well. Come on well. He's improved. He knows what he's going to do, and I think that's the key for players coming in, whether with the rotation or whatever. They know their jobs, they know what they have to do, and they just get on with it. And yeah, you would have thought that they would have been sussed out by now. We would have thought that the teams would have had a look at us over the first 3 or 4 games and said, well, that's the way they play. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. But I think, is there an arrogance in the Championship that teams think, well, we've been playing our way, we're in the Championship, so therefore our way is good. These boys have just come up, so we're going to show them, we'll get our game going. We'll develop our game and see if it's better than yours. And we know it's going to be better than yours, but it isn't because they come unstuck, don't they?
Yeah, well, we're going to see some great games coming up between now and the end of the year. With the Leicester game on the 26th, the Leeds United game, we've got the game against Norwich.
Well done, everybody.
They are looking a bit deflated though, Mark, behind you.
Yeah, the dead budgie is slightly deader every week, really. Yeah. Although they did pick up a win at the weekend, which actually I wasn't too bothered about, because that possibly means that their manager will be there a little bit longer. Maybe, our special agent that we've got up there.
Yep. Yeah, we like the German special agents, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing quite well.
But we've got obviously West Brom next week, Millwall at home, and then Coventry at home. So you have to say, 6 points, probably set at least 7 out of those 9, and then you've got Middlesbrough away, Watford away, Norwich at home, Leeds away.
Oh, hang on,
Leicester
we missed that one. Come on, Norwich away.
Got to be quicker than that.
Norwich home.
Yeah.
So it's will that spell define our season? Possibly not, but.
Well, I think it probably
it's a good
will,
one.
Won't it? Because, the Christmas period is there are so many points around between now and the new year, aren't there? So many games, thick and fast, and that's when the big squad will come into play,
But
perhaps.
I think it's great that we have that sort of running going into the January window, because I'm sure they've got a few names sort of penciled in that they would like to consider bringing to the club. And then I think over the next 9 games, I think it is, between now and the start of the new year, we will really find out a lot about the players and how strong the squad actually is, and whether it does need improving or whether there's enough there to carry us all the way through to the end of the year. I do think that they will go into the market, though.
Where would you strengthen?
Up front, I think you need another striker.
You can never
that's
have
got a bit of
enough
quality.
strikers, can you?
No, that's got a bit of quality. Because if Hurst gets injured, you've got Freddie coming in, and you've got Captain Scarlett there as well, and he's not, he's unproven at this level, sort of thing. But yeah.
So, showing our age there.
Showing our age, yeah. So there isn't a lot of depth there when you really think about it. So if you're saying if Town go up, then they need to strengthen in 3 or 4 positions, get quality players in. But that's a big wish. But at the moment, to get up, and you hear that Mark Ashton said that there's, they have a lot of funds there. Whether they'll spend it, I'm sure they will do, because if they see themselves, we see ourselves in the top 2 and well ahead of the others, then it's a good chance then to cement that top 2 ambition.
We only have to look at when we were at the top when Big Mick was manager, and we didn't spend in January, did we? And we fell back and
just didn't spend.
Yeah, well, probably did spend all the money we had.
Can I just say that a year ago in the Championship, QPR were top of the table after 16 games. Blackburn was second with equal points, 30 points. Haven't played a game more. Third was Burnley. Fourth was Sheffield United. Sheffield United ultimately went up, and Burnley only lost two games in the next 30. So they had a great run to the title. So, they're in sort of the position sort of thing to jostling for the lead. But it's a long process. So, on average, when you look at it, is 95 points would get you promotion get you first place, and 88.4, 88 would get you second place. So it's a great. When you look at it, we're not far off being there after 16 matches. It's just incredible what they've done.
You've got to match it with the goals, haven't you? If you get 94, 95 goals, you're usually going to be up there around about the 90-odd points as well.
And they're coming from all over the park, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. What a great goal Taylor scored, wasn't it? Blimey. That got a bit of dip on it and pace. Great strike.
Well, it was much needed as well. But when you think he did get a goal when the ball hit him, but then it went in, a bit like Freddie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But apart from that, he scores fantastic goals. Yeah. So he's got a great striker. There's 15 players have scored goals for a town in the league. 15.
Yeah, good.
And one of them's own goal. And the own goal, there's 2 own goals. That's more than Wilfredon, Morsey, Luongo, Hutchinson, Clark, Burns. Yeah. So, and then the Luco, Baggett and Humphreys have scored in the League Cup. So that's 18 different players have scored goals for town. That's just incredible.
Well, it is important to get them from all over the park, isn't it?
Well, literally. It's easier to say who hasn't scored a goal.
Yeah. It was good Chaplin scoring because he had a little dry spell, surprisingly. And I think that was the hardest chance he had on the day was the one he nicked in. And that was a cute finish as well. That was a really sharp finish. A bit of quality there.
And what about your old team, Leicester, losing 2?
Yeah, a bit of a surprise. I've not seen much of Leicester, so I'm looking forward to watching them on Boxing Day. I think I'll do a bit of homework on them leading into that game for a couple of weeks and see how they are doing. But they surprised me a little bit. Usually a team can lose their way a little bit when they've just been relegated, and it's not been the case with Leicester. I speak to Steve Walsh, my old centre-half partner now and again, and he's quite pleased with how things have been going there. He and Jerry Taggart, another centre-half lad, both wild lads,
Mental, they are mental.
If ever they're in the area, we've got to have them on here. They are hilarious. They're 2 big, strong guys as well, aren't they? They're crazy centre halves, but good fun.
I mean, Jerry can actually play better than he dances because he dances like a wally. He really does. Unbelievable, especially after a few beers.
He dances all night.
He dances all night.
Are you a special breed then, centre halves?
Those 2 are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. We're just normal. We're just normal. Yeah, we're just normal.
Really?
No. No, he must be joking.
I played with Steve Walsh at Leicester for 3 years, and I remember him going head-to-head with a couple of centre-forwards for 90 minutes. One was Billy Whitehurst, and they battered 7 bells out of each other for 90 minutes. And as soon as the final whistle blew, they got their arm round each other and were racing each other to the players' lounge to see how many drinks they could get in before the coach left. And the other was David Geddes. Dave Geddes, who played at Ipswich in the 78 Cup final. I knew Dave very well. And Dave was playing for Aston Villa at the time. And Dave Geddes he was a big, strong boy, and he could niggle people. And he'd been niggling Steve Walsh all day long, been treading on his feet, giving him the odd elbow now and again, late challenge, this, that and the other. And I think we were winning 2-0, and it was the last sort of goal kick coming down towards David Geddes for the Leicester centre halves to attack it, to head it away. And I'd just been speaking to Walshy, just saying to him, listen, we've won the game's over. Any minute now the final whistle's going to go. Don't do anything stupid, because he was going to rip Dave Geddes' head off. So this final goal kick came down the middle of the pitch. I stood back to watch Walshy go and win this, and he stepped in front of David Geddes, and his right elbow went smash and hit him right on the end of the jaw. David Geddes went down completely out of it. Broken jaw in 9 places. And
I like that, to be honest.
The trouble was, you had to say to him, well, you'd asked for it, Dave. You've been niggling away for 90 minutes and you got what you deserved, really. Walshy didn't mean to break his jaw. He meant to give him a bit of a whack.
I think he meant to take his head off, didn't he?
He tried it. And Dave Geddes phoned me up about 3 days later after he'd come out of hospital.
Well, he spoke to you with a broken jaw.
Yeah.
Was he a bit like...
He said he meant that, didn't he?
Like that, yeah.
He did down the phone. He said he meant that, didn't he? I said, well, you've been asking for it all day long. And I was the PFA rep at the time at Leicester City. So I had to go up to the disciplinary hearing with Walshy and try and plead his innocence. And it's a bit difficult in that circumstance. And he got a 9-match ban, Walshy did.
Was he happy with that?
No.
It was a fair challenge, wasn't it, really?
Well, you know, it was just one of those. He didn't mean to break his jaw. No way in the world, but he meant to give him a bit of a whack on the end of the nose.
David was a player that you had to fight your corner because he didn't sometimes mean to hurt you, but his elbow would connect and knees and everything else. And I remember we played at Anfield. It was my second game, and we played obviously against Liverpool, so Geddy's up front. And
Tommy Smith.
Tommy Smith.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
ball falls between Geddy and Tommy Smith. You know, Tommy Smith was like hard as nails. And Geddy just wiped him out. Had to have treatment and everything else.
Big mistake.
It was unusual. That was a big mistake. And we've gone, ooh, like this. And we're thinking, why did you do that? Why did you anger Tommy Smith? And then the next, something like 75 minutes, Tommy Smith chased David Geddes all around the pitch. But he hasn't caught him. We went 2-1 down. We 1-0 up. Trevor Wymark 2-1 down, and I think we just got the equaliser, and the next play after that, Liverpool attacked, and so the ball. So Tommy Smith's nowhere near the ball. It's down our end. We're having to defend, and you just hear this and the next you look round on the halfway line, and there's David Geddes in a heap on the halfway line. I think he had to be taken off, but we luckily held on for 2-2 draw. But it was like that in those days.
Those are the days, yeah. You didn't get spotted by one of the 20 cameras around the pitch if you did any sort of misdemeanor.
Yeah, but centre halves you had to be really tough and strong. Centre forwards were always tough and strong. Every club had a big striker.
So who was the one that you really didn't fancy going up against?
Well, I didn't like the quick ones.
Right.
I didn't mind the big ones. I didn't mind. Left the quick ones to Russell. That's what I
David Speedy was a
Speedy,
pain, wasn't he?
Yeah,
because he was small, but he could jump.
He could jump, hard as nails. Joe Jordan. But if you meet Joe Jordan, he's the loveliest guy in the world. He's really nice.
Joe's a great fella.
Dalglish is a lovely guy. But Dalglish wouldn't. He's not physical.
I only ever purposely kicked one person in a game, and that was Peter With. When he was playing for, I think he was playing for Aston Villa at the time, either Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest. And we had a couple of young lads in the side. And Peter With was an experienced pro. He's a senior pro. And he went and was a bit naughty and left a mark on a couple of our younger players that I thought he was a bit out of order. And I just remember running up to the halfway line, and as I went past him, I just raked him down from the back of his...
Accidentally, Russell, accidentally.
And sort of slipped. Well,
you meant to get his knee, but he just got his ankles there.
And he spun on me, and I just said, listen, if you want to have a go at somebody, just choose on somebody your own size, not one of the young kids, you know. And that was the only time I think it was the only time I did.
Yeah.
I think.
No.
Yes,
my memory's not very good, though.
I'm never going to play five-a-side with either of you two, that's for sure. Not even keep you uppy anywhere near you, I don't think. We've had a message through from Rosie Boy. That Swansea game was my first ever game following Ipswich, the one we were talking about last week. At the age of 8, stood on a milk crate in the Churchman's stand. We were talking about previous games last week, weren't we, on the show? Concern with Tuanzebe is that he's played fewer than 70 first-team games in the last 8 years and only 16 games in the last 2 years. But obviously Kieran sees something in him. And he can develop him, and he's obviously seen lots of them in the past.
Well, I mean, if there's one man that can develop him, is Kieran McKenna, because every player that has been at the club has certainly improved quite considerably. So, I mean, I think he can be a little bit slack in terms of his positional sense, where the ball's in behind him for one of the goals that we've conceded. So you say, well, was he sharp enough there? But as Russell says, it's about being sharp and getting sharp.
Yeah, I just think sometimes it could be that he just needs a body there that he might need to call on half a dozen times during the season in the first team. And he knows that possibly for half a dozen games during the season, Axel could do a job for him.
Are you saying Axel because you can't pronounce Tuanzebe?
Who?
Yeah. Well, I think we should just have Axel on the back of the shirt.
I'm on first name terms with him.
That would do lovely.
We've got some questions from our capacity crowd. You still there, capacity crowd?
Hey,
Dave.
Best crowd we've ever had.
Oh, no, they're amazing. Come right up close to that microphone. Come right up close. Swallow it. Come right up close.
Right, okay. Firstly, with due respect, we've had a brilliant last season and a cracking start to this season. But as a classic Ipswich Town supporter, I'm always worried about the future. And you've already referenced the concerns perhaps about what we need to do in the January window. And if the football planets align and we were to be promoted, how much, by what sort of percentage do you think the team would need to be changed to be stable in the Premiership? And do you think there's the appetite within Game Changer to pay the level of fees that are necessary to get the players we would need to stay up? Or are we just riding the thing for as long as it goes?
Okay, there's two questions there, not just one. Yeah. My answers are 4 players and yes.
Thanks, Dave.
Would you like to elaborate on that at all, Butch?
Well, 2 strikers, two centre halves,
Right.
and possibly a left-sided midfield player, like Burns, an out-and-out sort of winger more than anything else. But I think the way they're playing is so much cohesion, so much understanding that I think they could step up. I really do. And I mean, look at the teams that have come up, and the teams that really stick together really do well. Apart from Burnley, they're so a disappointment to me, really. So I thought they'd be much better, but. I think with the right funds that are available, with the right players, because their recruitment, Town's recruitment seems to be very good.
I think take a lesson from Bobby Robson's book. Really, it's that strong jigsaw puzzle that you try to put together, and if the jigsaw puzzle all fits nicely and strong, like ours did, the back 4 fitted very neatly together, in front of a goalkeeper that suited how we needed a goalkeeper to play, and the midfield lads came in and sat in front of the back 4 very nicely, and if everything knits and gives you a strong team, that's what you need more than big, highly paid individuals.
Brilliant.
And I think that's something that Kieran will probably do.
How many players do you think that we would need when we go up?
I mean, I would like to think only a handful. But what was slightly concerning me the other day after the Fulham game was the East Anglian listed out the values of the Fulham players, which were predominantly reserves, and they were almost to a man 10 million plus in terms of cost, which from our perspective, that's obviously a lot of money per player, isn't it? And when you're playing with the big boys, does that mean you have got to be prepared to pay?
Yeah, but when you look at Wolves, you could say the same for Wolves. Perhaps not £10 million a player, slightly less, and we beat them. So it doesn't. It's not about the money; it's about the quality of the player. You say that with money, you'll get more quality. You should get better players if you spend a bit more, but that's not always the case. And I think if your recruitment is good, and Kieran's eyes and the way that he goes about his work is very intense and does a lot of homework and things like this on players, he'll make the right selections. I've got every confidence in it.
You can spend a lot of money on some rubbish players at the moment. Who move to your...
We've been there and done that.
Yeah, move to your club, take the money and don't get a game.
No, absolutely.
Meaning?
I mean, that's what happened, wasn't it?
I came for nothing.
We were talking earlier on about Matteo Serini, Finidi George, that kind of era. We all remember that, don't we? George got carried away in a sweet shop of international footballers that came and didn't do very much. Ulrich Le Pen. What was it, half a game, wasn't it? I think Ulrich Le Pen.
It's a great name.
Who?
Yeah, it's a great name.
Lulu, he was nicknamed, wasn't he?
Lulu.
Was he?
There was several of that era that came in and just we paid a lot of money for and just did nothing at all.
Yeah, but a lot of clubs are like that.
But also, the worry is messing up the dynamic of the dressing room. Now, so far, the recruitment's been really good. They're a good bunch of lads. They all get on. But if you suddenly start bringing in, big time Charlies, he said they're going to start looking abroad. You've got to worry about the dynamics of the dressing room.
Part of the requirement is that they have to be decent lads, and that's it. They have to be able to play, and they have to be decent lads. So they do the background work very, very well on them. And if they think the personality is not going to fit in, no matter how good a player he is, then they won't be coming to Ipswich Town.
I think when you look at the analysts and you look at the way that they go about recruiting, the different criteria, a good character, like he's one of the boys sort of thing, that would be equally as important as his ability and his temperament and his fitness and sharpness. So, that when we were managers many years gone by, it was sometimes a scramble to get a player, and you were lucky if you just gambled that he's going to be a good sort. Or you've got a really strong dressing room that's going to sort him out and weed him out. So if he's not very good, then he gets kicked out. But it's difficult now with the transfer windows. If you get someone in who's a bad egg, then you've made a right ricket. And you'd say, well, there's a lot of things wrong at the club if you do get a bad egg in. And Kieran McKenna, so far, has not got any bad eggs at all.
Don't have to name names, but did you have anybody that was coming in your days? I mean, you hardly had anybody coming in your days at Ipswich Town, but did you? Who ruled the dressing room in your days? Who was the sort of main man?
Oh, the main man that ruled the changing room at Ipswich.
Well, there wasn't a main man as such. I mean, you heard Mariner more than anybody else because he was really loud. But
I think at the end of the day, the captain sort of ran the ship, really. Because even though Millsy wasn't the noisiest person or the most vocal,
wasn't the biggest either, was he? No.
And he wasn't the biggest. He was still probably the most respected at the time because he'd been the skipper for a long time. He'd been at the club for a long time. He's an international player, and he was the club captain.
It was a great word you used there, respect.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of respect gone out of the game, a lot of respect gone out of society, let alone the game of football. So when you look at the respect that the lads had for each other, it was immense, wasn't it? They had trust, they had admiration, but they also had respect.
And I think we see that now, though, don't we? We do see that in the squad now.
And I think yes, you do, and you don't see a lot of people shouting and screaming. Morsey will be the captain, and he'll be the one. And he'll say something, he'll do something, and he'll gee the lads up a little bit. But there isn't that sort of element now. You don't get the fingers pointed. You don't get the people grabbing you by the scruff of the neck and all that sort of thing. I got Steve McCall in a neck hold once. Remember that? He was my left back, and he wasn't in position. So
this was a Friday night, though, wasn't it?
No, it was it was a Saturday about 3:20, I think it was. So I just grabbed him by the throat. I didn't pick him up. I grabbed him by the throat, and I said, "You better be in position next time." And he was always there next time.
And that's why he's coming in 2 weeks on the show, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I can't believe he's agreed to come in, to be honest. Maybe we can replicate that.
Possibly we can,
yeah.
That'll be on the big stage at Venue 16, 30th of November.
And if you haven't got your tickets,
lifesapitch.tv is where you get them from, and there are only a handful left, and I am saying that genuinely, not just to stoke up the ticket sales.
Lovely.
There are only a handful left. So lifesapitch.tv. It's going to be fantastic. So we've got the show going out on the stage, haven't we, with all the usual features. Steve McCall is our special guest. Terry and he will be recreating that magic moment that he just mentioned.
Well, it wasn't magic for Steve. No. But I enjoyed it anyway.
And then we're going to have a 2-course Christmas dinner, and then we're going to do heads and tails. We've got an auction, and then we're going to do a question of sport. So it's Butcher's Bandages, which is Butcher, Burley and McCall, against Escape from Osman, and that's Chambers and Ian Westlake.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. We look forward to that.
Bit of rivalry between you two on these kind of things? Or?
No, not at all. Yeah.
Not at all, but you wait. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm the question master, so I'm really in for it, whichever happens.
Yeah.
Somebody might get throttled apart from Steve McCall.
Okay, I'll be on my best behaviour. So lifesapitch.tv if you want to get your tickets for that. Adi, have you got a question? Adi's here from one of our sponsors, The Dove. Give him a round of applause. One of our new sponsors.
Hi guys, how are you
Right
doing?
up close to that microphone, Adi.
Very well, thank you. Was that the question?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Okay, we went out of the Cup the other day, and January is the start of the FA Cup, where we go into it. Would you want to go out of the Cup quite quickly and concentrate on the league, or do you think we can manage both the league and the Cup?
Ooh, good question.
I think we can manage both. you know, I really do think that the FA Cup is starting to lose its value in a lot of eyes, and I still think it's the best cup competition in the world, really, you know, apart from the World Cup. So I would like to see the club totally committed to it just for the day. And then, you know, if you get through, you concentrate on the next round and just take it one round at a time.
Do you think the squad's big enough?
I think the squad's good enough. You know, you can only have 25 players, you know, and I think when you can put 11 on the pitch that look like they can hold their own, and what's about 9 on the bench now, is it?
9, yeah.
9 on the bench that are only going to add to it when they make the changes and make the 11 on the pitch stronger. I think we've got a strong enough squad to take anybody on in the cup.
No, it all depends on the draw as well. You know, you sort of think, well, if they get a Premier League side, that's a bit of a dilemma for Kieran. Then what's he going to do? But I think they've already made their minds up about it, to be honest, and they are going to field a different 11 from the one that they would play in the Championship match. So I think when you look at it, you know, the town are chasing the promised land sort of thing, to be in the promised land. So when you've got that opportunity and they've given themselves a really, really good chance with this start, you sort of think, do you want to tempt fate and play players that have been playing on a regular basis and they get an injury, or you know, we lose, or they lose confidence, etc., etc. You know, would that be the right move? It's a bit of a balancing act. So I would think, for the benefit of the club, he just does what he does does what he did for the League Cup. So
we're going to lose some players potentially for the African Nations Cup around that time as well, January.
Yeah.
Well, Morsey's not in the squads. He doesn't seem to get in the squads a lot now. So possibly we'll keep Morsey, which would be a good thing. But he's probably heading towards his second suspension anyway very soon. So
yeah, I just think with having, you know, so many options on the bench each and every game, that, you know, you can rotate your players and be clever with them. And I would just like to see us commit to giving it a real good go in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think we'd all like that. The ones that are obviously older than the current generation.
Well, in your day, there was no debate, was there? It
No.
was, you know, the top team went out every week in, week out, didn't it?
I think we would have been very unhappy having to be left out of the FA Cup because it just meant so much. It's on, like, you know, one of the rare games that was live TV in our day when we were younger. So it's an unbelievable competition, and that's when Russell's 100% right. It has been devalued, really. It is another cup match, another fixture, rather than the fixture.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, I guess we would all rather promotion than a cup run.
Yeah,
I think so.
Well, there is that as well. Yeah.
That'd be quite nice, wouldn't
That'd be quite nice.
We need a bus tour.
So what are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything.
Okay, good.
No, it's okay. I'm going to move on.
Good.
It's time now for our Keep It Up Challenge, sponsored as always by our friends at Ginger Pickle. Now, I've got the ball here, but we've got no guest this week, so we can't actually do it this week. But I think, you know, we just need to reflect on Scoey again last week, who was, I mean, he was just immense on his right foot. 79 we're giving him now, aren't we? Yeah. 79. And what was he, 56 seconds he was going for?
I thought inflation had gone down. It's obviously gone up in the Keep It Uppy.
No, he's up there.
Has mine gone from 3 to 4 then?
No, I think you're just in danger, though, Butch, of falling off the leaderboard.
Good.
We can erase that. In fact, we haven't been able to update it yet because we've used the wrong type of pen on the board. And we can't. Well, me.
Was it you?
We can't. We've actually got some board cleaner that doesn't work, so we may have to get a new leaderboard.
We have a board cleaner, you mean?
Yes,
it's permanent, isn't it?
Permanent marker, I think, up there at the moment. So we'll work on that one of these weeks. I'll get it sorted. Don't worry.
Good.
But just immense. And of course, if anybody here fancies giving it a go. No, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Time now for the Town News in Brief, sponsored by John Keeble Cars of Bramford, with Mark Murphy this week, because there's no deal. Sadly, I haven't got the red hat, which is unfortunate. No, Phil's got a cold, and he's feeling really rough, everybody. And he's worse than that. Oh, yes, he is. It's Panto time.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is. West Stand to get a new name. Town's West Stand set for a new name following the mutual termination of the contract with the Magnus Group, who made an application to appoint an administrator on Friday. The club say they're currently discussing partnership opportunities with multiple organisations. Feel for everybody who's involved in that. It's not nice at any time of the year with your job under threat, but certainly at this time of the year. So thoughts with everybody at the Magnus Group and Ollie in particular. It's a difficult time for all of those. But that stand has had a few names in its time. What do you two refer it as?
Pioneer Stand.
Pioneer. Yeah.
Simple as that. And what was it, the co-op in between?
Yeah.
That
For
was
a long time.
That was the reason, that stand being built, that we possibly had to leave. Well, we left the club.
Well, take us back to that, because that was a momentous moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was because the objective was to get more fans in, to get more money, to improve the squad and improve the club. So they built the stand, and then Bobby left and Arnold left, and a lot of the other players were thinking about going in.
Ban and
So
we missed out on
in the end, the quality on the pitch wasn't as good as it had been, so therefore we lost, and therefore the crowds didn't come in, but you still had to pay for the stand. So, cut it short, a lot of the players were sold to raise money for the stand. I think I was the last one that left that completed the paying. So it was a bit of a folly, really, and expensive folly for the club.
It was, all down to the Pioneer Stand.
The Pioneer.
Did you get any Pioneer equipment?
Yep.
Oh yes.
Did you?
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a huge stack. Huge. It was nearly, well, it was bigger than you, and far bigger than Phil anyway. But it was huge. Yeah. So we had to pay. We had to pay a little bit for it as well, didn't we? I think we had to pay something towards it. Yeah, I think so. Well, I did anyway. I don't know about you, but I did.
Well, we got a ghetto blaster as well.
Ghetto blaster,
got
we did.
Ghetto blaster in those days, where
I think Beatty
cassette
flogged
to
his, didn't he?
cassette.
I think, if I remember rightly, he was telling me he
Who?
flogged it. Kevin.
Yeah.
No.
I think he probably flogged a lot of the other players as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a great sort of sponsorship, great idea, and it was groundbreaking really. And I always remember was it the Japanese that came over? Remember the Japanese businessmen? And I think it was the next year or the year after. We were flirting with relegation, and they came along to a game right towards the end at Portman Road, and it was nip and tuck as to whether we went down, ended up in the relegation zone. So, we won, and then stayed up. And the Japanese said, look, we either want you to go on to have success or fight a relegation battle, because it's just so exciting. The crowd were up for the game and could stay up. He wanted either end, but just don't end up in the middle. But we ended up down the bottom. So that's probably why they stopped the sponsorship.
There have been lots of people talking on social media about naming it after an ex-player. Paul Mariner's name's come up quite a lot, the Mariner stand. But in these commercial times, they'll get money for that, won't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's where they'll aim it. At a big financial institution will come along and put a name on it and do a deal. There'll be some sort of corporate stuff going on, and you've got to in this day and age.
It's amazing that you get stands sponsored in the first place, but it is good, and obviously if the companies feel it's good publicity, then there's.
But it's still Portman Road though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of grounds lose the name as well.
We were still in the Churchman stand last week. And then you got the North stand as well.
At the other end.
So it'll always be like that. You can't change that.
Was the factory behind, wasn't it? Churchman's factory?
Yeah, it was behind. Yeah, it was great.
And just over the road was the Sporting Farmer pub.
Yeah.
And our lunch when I was a youth team player, you used to walk across there to have your lunch in between training sessions, and your lunch was chip butty with or without gravy.
Yeah. And a Coke, a full fat Coke.
Yeah.
No wonder you felt bad in the training in the afternoon.
And at the end of training, you used to go up to the town centre and sit in Newstead's.
Yeah, bakery.
Next to the Falcon pub. It's either one or the other. And try and avoid going into the bookies with Eric Gates.
Yeah.
So you either went to the bookies with Gatesy and Brazil in that crowd, or you went and played snooker.
Yeah. The snooker club was good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was it. You know, Newstead's was great. Newstead's is gone now, but they had delicious donuts. I think the sausage rolls were fantastic as well. And we used to have them after training, so
We needed
straight
it.
up there. Yeah. Yeah, we sort of limped up towards Newstead's after training, and then we went back to our digs, and then 15 minutes later had our supper. So it was great.
Well, sausage rolls are the food of champions. I sincerely believe that.
Yeah.
Now you've just confirmed that. Some other news in brief. Cameron Burgess and Massimo Luongo added to their caps this morning as Australia beat Bangladesh 7-0 in a World Cup qualifier in Melbourne. The centre-half from the start and the midfielder as a half-time sub. Great news for the pair, although Luongo missed a late penalty, his 4th miss out of 4 for his country, yet they keep asking him to take the penalties. What's going on here?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't take one for us, I tell you. Yeah. No, we don't get many anyway, do we?
But what we have now,
yeah,
we were only talking about that the other week. We don't get many.
The bookies might be investigating that one, I think.
Of course, Phoenix Rising is the club in the US that is part owned by Town's Three Lions. They claimed the USL Championship title on Sunday, following a 3-2 on penalties victory over the Charleston Battery after a 1-1 draw. The USL Championship is the second-level men's league in the US below the MLS. So the Three Lions, who own a small percentage of the Blues owners, Game Changer 20 Limited, have been involved with the Rising since the club's inception. And Mark Detmer, a co-founder and executive board member, Burke Backeye is chairman of the board. Brett Johnson was a founder and remains a shareholder. So those American owners have experienced some success this season. They'll be looking to us to replicate that, I would imagine.
Yeah. No promotion, though?
They don't, do they, over there?
No.
No such thing, is there?
No.
Pointless, isn't it?
I think Frank Yallop was as a manager there as well before. So, yeah. They beat Charleston Battery.
Yes.
That's a great name, isn't it? Charleston. I wonder what their logo is.
I don't know. Could be electrifying, Butch. I don't know.
Could be electrifying. Yeah.
We'll leave that one. So anyway, that's the news in brief this week. Not as good as Phil Ham doing it, but that'll have to do for this week.
Well, no, I disagree. I thought that was equally as good.
Thank you very good.
If not better.
Equally as bad.
He was good. No, he was good. If not better. You actually made it longer.
I did, yeah. Well, we're trying to fill a bit this week, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were you on
Fill
the
a bit.
leaderboard, Butch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say you were trying to fill a bit?
Oh, very good.
Well,
very
I got
good.
it.
You got it.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
you meant it.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No. Let's have a look. It's your turn now.
That's
Let's
mine.
have a look at what's happened to ITFC on this day, brought to you in association with our friends at Fred Olsen Logistics.
Great. Thanks, Fred. And on this day,
That worked well. That worked very well.
I know, smooth as
We're so
smooth as
slick
you
tonight,
like.
aren't we? It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, having too much fun. Right, on the 16th of November, and this is from 1959, Ipswich beat table toppers Liverpool 3-1 at Portman Road.
Hey, get in.
Roared on by a crowd of 20,591. The Reds had let in a goal in their previous 6 matches, or hadn't let in a goal in their previous 6 matches. And we stuck 3 past them on that one day. Also on the 16th of November in 2005, midfielder Gavin Williams. I can't remember Gavin, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, and I apologise, Gavin, for that.
Do you remember Gavin Williams?
Yes, I do remember Gavin Williams.
Yep. Well, Gavin Williams signed 6 days before on loan from West Ham United.
Do you want these?
I do, actually. He also appeared as a Wales substitute in the 1-0 friendly defeat to Cyprus.
Shouldn't laugh.
No. So the 16th of November in 57 and 2005 is pretty damn boring.
Yeah.
But how can you lose to Cyprus, for goodness sake?
Well, if you're Wales, you've got a bit of a 50-50 chance there, haven't you?
True.
You know.
Very true.
So,
You'll have Wes
hopefully-
Burns after you now, I tell you.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lee Evans.
yeah.
Yeah, Nathan Broadhead.
Nathan Broadhead.
Yeah. I wouldn't go down
Anybody
there
else?
if I was you down the
No.
training
Shrek the
ground.
boyos.
And that's it.
Fantastic.
So we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, we'll try and find something a bit more exciting for next week. We're almost out of time this week, but we do have the Man v Fat football results. And one of the teams is looking for some new players. And I'm just looking around. Just
You
looking.
you don't fancy it, Mark? Do you?
No, I don't
Okay,
need to,
fine.
Butch. My body's a temple. It's a
Absolutely.
racing snake.
A ruin.
This week's results. Pork Vale 14. Seattle Quarter Pounders 6. Man Titty 6. LA Galaxy Bar 3.
Yes, get in the titties. Go
To
on.
lose a few pounds 6. Far from Athletic 8. L'Argentina 8. Dynamo Kebab 8. Hardly Athletic 9. FC 20 Stone 9. Wow. So some good results from Man v Fat. And could we please congratulate, give him a big round of applause, Steve Calagiori on his 15% loss and announced that Man Titty are currently recruiting for new players.
Oh.
So
They've had a purge. Have they had a purge?
well, I don't know what's happened. Perhaps, I don't know. They're looking to recruit some players. So lost too much weight, perhaps. I don't know.
Perhaps they fell out.
That can happen, can't it?
That could happen, yeah.
On that note, I think we'll say goodbye for tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you, Capacity Crowd. You've been amazing. You have been fantastic. Don't forget to keep in touch with us. Check out our socials. That's X, Facebook, Insta, all of those things. YouTube, subscribe, and like the show if you can. We've got loads and loads of subscribers, but 50% of the people who watch, can you believe, haven't subscribed or liked?
Well,
And it doesn't cost anything. So please like and subscribe if you watch on YouTube. And don't forget, on the 30th of November, still a few places left for the big fundraising evening for the Ex-Players Association and Cancer Campaign in Suffolk. That's at venue 16. You get all the details from lifesapitch.tv. Thanks to our main sponsors, DPS Tech. Also supported by All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford, and the Dove in St Helens Street in Ipswich. Next week on the show, we're going to be joined by Kieran Dyer next week. So it'll be interesting to hear how Kieran is. And
Did
what
you
he's
nearly
been going
say
through.
Kieran McKenna?
I nearly said Kieran McKenna, you're right.
Kirker.
We've had a great show, haven't we, actually?
That's good for level anyway.
Yeah, it's good. When we do it for real, it'll be fine. Yep. Anyway, thank you, Capacity Crowd. Thank you, boys. Up the town.
you.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
No.
Bye.
Thank you.